Hey guys, how you going? It's Nathan here from FDR Contracting. Just thought I'd take the opportunity today to do a quick review on a couple of engineering solutions that I've managed to apply to the ARs that I'm using at the moment, which are Wedgetail Industries guns. I've got a WT25 here in 308 at the moment and a WT15. At the moment it's got the 300 blackout upper on it, but it's also got a 223 upper on this rifle. Good rifles, no issues with the rifles at all. But there's a couple of enhancements that you can pretty much do to any firearm, particularly ARs. They're very easy to take things off, add things on, do whatever you want to do to improve the rifle or cater to a specific need. So the first issue I had, this WT25 I've had for a little while now. It's bought as a aerial shooting rifle primarily, and for high volume ground culling where required. Wedgetail have recently started putting these muzzle brakes on. They're an excellent radial brake, they really are. The recoil's almost not noticeable, not much muzzle jump at all. But one issue with these brakes is you're going to get with any brake that has a really good effect in terms of recoil reduction and that type of thing. It's very blasty in a radial sense. So you can see the ports the entirety of the way around the actual muzzle brake itself. There's a lot of radial muzzle blast that comes out, and obviously anyone to the left and right of you is going to cop a fair dose, and to be honest it's fairly difficult to fire it without any hearing protection on, which is not something you'd normally do, but you know, on the odd occasion that occurs, you are going to get deafened by a rifle set up like this. The other issue with it from an aerial shooting perspective is with the radial muzzle brake, if you're on the same side as you often are if you're shooting out of an airframe like a Bell Jet Ranger or similar, same side as the pilot, the pilot's then going to cop a little bit of muzzle blast. Even though your muzzle's well away from him, you still get a lot of noise come out and cop him on the flanks, which even through a headset with a 308 with a fairly short barrel on it, you know, there's a fair bit of noise that comes out. So I had a yarn to the guys at Wedgetail Industries about that particular problem, and they've developed a bit of a prototype for me. So these muzzle brakes come with a neat little collet jacket that comes off, so there's an exposed thread underneath. In every other state in Australia, pretty much you can have a suppressor. Unfortunately, in Queensland you can't. I'm dealing with that through some legal matters at the moment with Queensland Police to try and get that problem rectified. However, it leaves very little option to suppress a firearm like this currently under our laws. However, what I got Wedgetail to do was have a look at creating this little device, which is pretty simple. Something they had on the cards anyway, but I got them to expedite a prototype so I could start using it at the back end of 2019. And simply, it's just a blast jacket. So as you can see there, it's nice and hollow. There's no baffles or anything like that. It's open-ended. And all it simply does is when you've got a radial brake on the rifle and you fire, the gases that are projected outwards hit the jacket, so you get the recoil reduction effect, and then they're sent forward, so you don't get the blast and the noise radiating back towards the ears of the firer or out to the flanks of the firer. So it noticeably decreases that blast, and it simply just screws on over the top like that. Now I expected when fitting this to have a slight change in point of impact, because basically anything you attach to the barrel of any rifle is going to in some way affect the barrel harmonics, which means basically the vibrations the barrel makes when the rifle's fired due to all the gases and the projectile travelling down the length of the barrel. However, I was pretty surprised. It's made no difference at all. So literally no difference whatsoever on 100 metre zero with this particular firearm. But the drop in recoil noise is noticeable. In noise is noticeable, and the reduction in recoil is the same as per the standard brake. So that was really good, and looking forward to seeing what Wedgetail Industries do with these. So obviously this is only a prototype, that's why it's silver, not painted up, not got the same sort of flash aesthetics as the rest of the rifle, but very, very effective. And I've used it a couple of times now to the chopper, and I'm sure the pilots have appreciated that. The other thing I just wanted to talk about today was another issue that comes from aerial shooting and or for collecting brass if you're using AR platforms or pump guns or anything like that. It's got an AR style extractor that flips the cases backwards and throws them a fair way from the rifle. So one of the, again, the engineering issues you have for aerial shooting is if you're going to be using a semi-auto firearm, which nearly everyone does, that ejects brass, you need that brass to eject forwards and flat. You don't want the brass coming back inside the airframe and you definitely don't want the brass going upwards so it has any risk of hitting the rotors or anything like that. So I had a good look around at a range of different options that are out there. So you can get a heap of different plates, you can get catch bags, there's lots of different things you can do. Some of them seem great on paper. Catch bags seem like a great idea because you save your brass and whatever. However, they do cause a few obstructions in a lot of different types of rifles, and they make obstructions harder to clear when you're in the airframe. Obviously, when you're paying a significant amount of money from a client's point of view for that airframe to be in the air, what you don't want is having your shooter in the back having malfunctions all the time, which is slowing down his rate of effort and humanely destroying whatever feral pest is being targeted. So having done a bit of research and a bit of looking around, I got in touch with a couple of guys over in the States, and they make these little things, which are deflector brakes. I've got the packet in front here. So they come in a simple little packet like that. And they're probably one of the simplest little things you'll see. They're basically a hard foam pad that goes on the ejector plate on an AR style rifle, and it's got the same thing here on the 300 Blackout, if you can see with the tip of my finger there. And basically what these do is, as the brass comes out and flips out of the ejection port, it flips around, the tip of it hits that foam pad, and then it bounces it forwards and flat. So that all of your brass lands in a nice neat pile directly in front of you. And if you're using it from a aerial shooting perspective, then you certainly don't have the issue of your brass coming inside the airframe or causing any other issues. Because it's only a little foam pad, it's also well out of the way. So you don't have any hang-ups, any malfunctions. It's not an eyesore on the rifle. It doesn't decrease functionality or storage or anything else any other way. I've got one here packaged. That's all they are there. So as you can see the back of it. That's basically the shape that you stick on the side of the plate. It's a bit hard to see, but you can see the structure there. So a really simple device. When I first got these out, I was a little bit dubious as to just how effective they'd be, whether they'd achieve the effect of putting that brass forwards and flat, and whether they're a worthwhile activity or whether I need to go something like a proper deflector plate. But after trialling these pretty extensively when ground shooting first to make sure they were 100% effective, and now having used them a significant amount out of the airframe, they're a good bit of kit. Probably absolutely pointless on a range of other platforms, but on a semi-automatic AR platform of any sort, or on a range of the pump guns that are coming out now, or straight pulls that are in an AR style configuration, it'll stop your brass from going all over the place, which it tends to out of these, depending on either how hard you rack the action or what you've got your gas settings set on. And as I said before, most of these style of ARs, depending how you've got your gas set up on it, they're going to eject a long way, basically out to the rear and right. Generally they're pretty flat anyway, but sometimes they'll go a little bit high. And based on how that round ejects, where there's a slight variation in the powder charge, etc., then that could send it to a range of different places. So useful from the point of view of being able to pick up your brass, and definitely very, very useful from an engineering point of view for actually conducting aerial shooting. Simple and it works. So yeah, have a look. They've got some websites there for the deflector brake guys. Pretty catchy sort of symbol on their gear there. And I'll certainly be ordering some more of these because they're pretty handy. So yeah, we'll see more of those in action throughout 2020. That's pretty much it for this review. I just wanted to talk about those couple of issues. As I said, I've been very, very happy with the blast jacket on the front here. There's a range of other commercial products out there that aren't Australian made, but I'd certainly recommend for anyone who wants something of that nature, get in touch with the guys at Wedgetail Industries. They're pretty good with custom designs, prototypes, and following up on any ideas that their clients have. And they've certainly been pretty helpful in developing this particular jacket for me, which has been great so far. And certainly as soon as they start a production run of something that's a bit more aesthetically set up with their logo, etc. on, I'll be grabbing a couple of those and putting them on all of my ARs. But they certainly enhance the overall function of the rifle. But no dramas. Any questions, chuck them down in the comments, or hit me up on either Instagram at FDR375 or Facebook, just Feral Vertebrate Reduction Contracting, and all that sort of can. Thanks.